today. She is the founder of Spirit Calling, an online community. And Pamela and I met just before she started that community when she was
Yeah.
looking for input and ideas to as to how to go about that. And the community's been going now for a number of years. It seems to be thriving and growing. And so, first of all, Pamela, thank you so much for being here. And well, why don't you tell us a little bit about this spirit calling community that you have founded, since that's a big central gathering point for your work?
Yeah, I would love to. Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to have a conversation with you, friend. And yeah, you came into my life at a pivotal moment. The universe connected us through a very dear friend. And I was going through a shift and new to this community thing. And it was something that you had, were very familiar with. So I always believe that the right people come into our lives at exactly the right time when we need them, little helpers. So to be here today with you to have a conversation is exciting to me. But yeah, my soul's purpose, which I discovered in 2020, was to be a spiritual mentor and guide and a community leader. And there are labels that sometimes I feel uncomfortable, like describing myself as these labels because they shift every single stinking day. It's more and more and more expansion happening. And that's what happens as you step into your soul's purpose. And when you say yes to that spirit, that whisper, that call, that pull. And in 2020, and beyond, before that, I was receiving these little pulls, these pulls to go deeper, to step into the unknown a little bit more, to find out something new, to use my discernment, which I didn't know I was using at the time, um, and to really find out what are the things that are my truths that I believe in, that I can wholeheartedly grasp and take as my own, that weren't given to me from someone else or weren't showed to me as a way of being, as a kid who grew up in a family with traditions and religions like we all do. But what are the things that I believe in? And I started that path of discovering, right when I had my knockdown. And there was a series of events and all different kinds of choices and all different kinds of things that brought me to 2020, to the ultimate call, which was to be and live in this way and to create this community spirit calling. So we never know, what the future holds. And that's the
No,
exciting part, right?
definitely.
Yeah.
So you've got me very intrigued now.
Intrigued, I am.
Yeah, because I've been speaking a lot in my own community about soul purpose, and so I would love to hear some of the details about how you heard your soul purpose.
Mm,
Because I think that's something people, the ability to hear your soul's purpose is itself a kind of skill.
yeah.
Uh, and
Yeah.
I think people would benefit enormously by developing that capacity. And
Yeah.
so I would love to hear your experience of hearing your soul purpose.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think you're right. So there's different ways of living and being. There, the guides that I channel always talk about the brain versus the body, the mind and the spirit and the body. And when you start to listen to that spirit, which is the higher essence of you, it's a different feeling. You start to put that to the forefront of your life and use that as your gauge. And it takes you down a different path. So when I started to listen to that spirit, that nudge, that call, I was actually embodying a new way of being. So that's different than the mind. It's embodying it. It's actually making choices, putting energetic convictions behind them, and moving forward in a different way. And that requires the ability to hear your spirit. And that requires the mind to have ease so that you're able to actually hear those higher concepts of your soul calling you to find your purpose. So sometimes, what I had, which was my knockdown, which was, you think you've got it all figured out. You think you know what your future is. You think it's all done for you. No, we're going to give you an experience. It doesn't happen to everybody. Everybody has a different kind of experience. Mine was called a knockdown. And the world that I knew, the emphasis that I put on certain things that were important at the time, everything got thrown up in the air and came down in different ways, and my whole reality changed. And in that moment, I was able to make some new decisions, look at things for what they were. And one of the things that I started embodying was yoga. And you and I have that in common. We have a mutual friend that introduced us. When I started doing yoga, when I met our mutual friend, I was able to breathe and move my body and allow myself to have space to hear my spirit, to hear divine wisdom, to hear guidance from, my ancestral guides, my deceased loved ones, whomever. And with that ability to hear comes in the nuggets, comes the pulls, comes the tugs to do something different. And one of the first things that helped me find my soul purpose, because it's a big concept, right? It's what you're ultimately here to do on planet Earth in this three-dimensional reality, in this iteration of your lifetime. And we have many of them. So in this lifetime, I asked to have all the experiences I had up until my knockdown. And I asked to have the knockdown to give me the space to hear, to make change. And I was being called to, move outside of religion. I was being called to measure everything in my life, relationships, my work, my home, the value system that I had. I was being called to look at every single thing in my life and make a different decision about them. And when I was able to do that, I was clearing the path. I was clearing the path. Each step, each decision, each movement is clearing the path to traveling to find my soul's purpose. And it's not like it just pops in front of your path like this beautiful package of gift, and it's like, come here. Here it is. You've discovered me. Now let's go. You have to choose with every moment either love or fear. And it's the discovery of remembering who you are, which is a divine, beautiful being, part of all that is, part of the universe, the omniverse. And when you start walking and choosing love over fear, you see your path open even more. You see even more people that are there as helpers to come in, the right people come in at the right time. The people who aren't in alignment with you fall off the game board, they move off of your path. And the universe and everything conspires to create that path, to make it larger, to make it more beautiful for you. And through that, that's what I was doing. I made some big decisions like leaving religion, going outside of everything that I ever believed in my life that was part of my family. It was part of what I brought to my kids. It was part of what our traditions existed in, and starting to make changes. Like, I don't resonate with this anymore. And, losing my home was a big thing. Losing my retirement, my savings, everything that I knew was a big thing. And, those are the small things that allow you to make different decisions to bring more alignment into your life, which aligns you more with your soul's purpose.
Right. So what I'm
It's a
hearing,
path. Yeah.
and by the way, I'm having the experience talking to you right now that this conversation was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is the conversation that I was meant to have with you versus the one I thought I was going to have when I set this up. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's very interesting. And what I'm hearing you say is that you experienced in your life a sort of wholesale collapse of the
Mm-hmm.
structures that you had been living in.
Yes.
And that created a kind of necessity for a radical reconfiguration, a radical reconsidering of everything.
Yeah.
And the space of that brought you to yoga, brought people into your life, wisdom into your life, insights into your life, and you just kept following the path as the breadcrumbs were coming to you.
Mm.
Um, and And you made mention earlier of the fact that you realized that you had asked for this life, you had asked for those circumstances, you had asked for that collapse. You had. When did you realize that you had asked for all of that?
Ooh,
When did you see that?
it's so great. It's so great. I love these conversations. I saw that, Jeffrey, in retrospect, right? So it's very in the moment. People have near death experiences. People have, they'll fall off a cliff, they'll have a car accident, they'll have that's their knockdown. Mine was what happened to me, right? That gave me that perspective. But when you're in the moment, it's excruciating. Like leaving my marriage was excruciating. It took several years for me to find the courage to move forward. And I didn't know it at the time. In retrospect, I could look and say that decision to choose love over fear, to choose love for the opportunity, for everything that existed in the future that I had no idea would be there, including being a spiritual mentor and launching a spiritual community and now doing this deep healing work. Everything was there. I could have rested in fear and stayed in a marriage because it was more comfortable. But the hard things that we get to do expand our soul, expand our measure of love, connect us more to the divine, and expand this path before us. I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Every step on that path, I didn't know that that's what I was doing. Deciding to say yes to someone to do trade, that turns into someone else who has an opportunity for me that you couldn't even imagine, right? Because you started listening and allowing, and that beauty comes before you. And I always say when I'm working with my clients, my soul path coaching clients, every decision is a brushstroke on this masterpiece that's being built and created before your eyes. So I'm a painter, right? I'm a musician. Every hit on the hammer on the piano individually is a note, but together it's a masterpiece. The stroke, like you don't see it, you don't hear it until it's done, and it's never done. But until you get to these pivotal moments, like we're at right now, that who knew that that's what that was going to create?
That's fascinating. Now, so you're talking about you're on this path. This choice leads to openings you can't. I mean, I can relate to all this.
Hmm.
You do this, and a whole universe opens up that you didn't even know was there, and then
Yeah,
you're in that universe, and then that opens up. And um, when you talked about the importance, you said, well, that starts happening because you're listening,
yeah,
right? Now, of course, in life, there's always all kinds of things we could respond to, right? But
hmm,
there's a certain thread that you start to follow because you're listening.
yeah,
Um, how do you listen? How do you coach people, teach people how to listen for those soul opportunities that are being presented?
yeah. I ask them to take a moment to view everything that's put before them, to understand that there are key moments and opportunities, and to look at everything with a new lens, with the lens of love. Love is the highest frequency and vibration there is. Love is the measure and gauge that you should have with you, with everything that you do, with every decision that you make. So, in my Soul Path coaching program, for instance, people come in with a certain vibration, a certain frequency, a certain measure of love, the capacity of love that they hold. And we work through the things that are maybe limiting that capacity that they can hold to help them understand how to witness it, to see it in their life, and then to be able to change the outcome, to change the direction by understanding it through a lens of love. So, how do you listen? You create space, like we said, and then you choose to not be reactive with fear, with programs that are already embedded in us, that are like programmed ways to react on things, and to look at what is the purpose of this right here and there. So, you can look at how I met you. No, he doesn't understand what I'm doing. He does things a certain way. Or this is somebody that I could possibly understand something new with. It's the perspective that you bring, which is this expansive openness to want to know more, to understand there's something there beneath that there that lies that you can't conceive of, and to know that that's the way you operate always, you know.
Mm,
But it's a practice. It's a practice just like anything else. You have to flex the muscle of it.
mm.
You get to make choices continually. And if you continually make the wrong choice out of fear, you get to make that choice again. You get the carrot dangled in front of you again, and the opportunity to choose the higher and better frequency, the more loving choice that's going to align with the higher potential for your future. Did that answer
Beautiful.
your
So
question?
yeah, no, definitely. And I'm going to want to keep going because I'm actually really wanting to understand your view on this. So the way I experience this, and I'd love to get your take on it. There's certain opportunities that arise in life, which they
Mhm.
don't necessarily present themselves as opportunities, you know, like it
Yeah.
could be you meet somebody. I mean, everything that happens is an opportunity, theoretically, right?
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
so you're constantly confronted with opportunities, but there's certain opportunities that you feel, I feel a kind of energy around them. Now you're talking about love. I would tend to talk about energy, and it feels like the energy of invitation, or
Yeah.
to me, I feel it as like, ooh, like an inexplicable excitement, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
you meet someone, like when I met you, then you feel like,
Yes.
oh, this is a significant meeting. And
Yes.
how many people do you meet? You meet tons of people all the time, but
Yes.
occasionally you feel this buzz. Bzz.
Yeah.
And so I've learned that when I feel that buzz, excuse me, when I feel that buzz, you walk through that door.
You want to
There's
discover more.
a
Yeah.
door opens, and then you want to see, okay, what is this calling me to? Would you say that? How does that compared to your experience of following the path of love?
It's the same. So
Mhm.
love is a frequency. And so when there's recognition there of something that's a higher and better and more exciting, if you want to say, opportunity, I say it's your job to discover
Mm,
what's on the other side of that. And that's the love or fear choice. So love is a high frequency, fear is a low frequency. Excitement is a high frequency. There's this there's this whole measure that the guides my entire role on planet Earth is to help people raise their frequency and to teach people in the most basic way what that means. And the guides channeled, they just channel whatever they want sometimes through me. It's wonderful. And they gave me this very basic scale. If you don't understand what that means, to show them what it means, right? So they say, and I'm saying this for a reason, Jeffrey. So I'm gonna share this because it came in. If you don't understand what that means, then they say go to when you were a child, right? Think about the most exciting memory, your happiest memory. Feel your body light up. Feel your face light up. You can't help but smile. Feel the tips of your head tingle and the back of your neck tingle and your legs fill up with frequency. That's love. That is the highest frequency there is. Give it a number, give it a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Then think about when you were a child and you had a fearful experience and you were frightened. You cower, you go within, you recede, you shut down, you close up. Your body feels off. That's a 1. So now go through your day and measure your experiences, giving them a number on your scale. And you can see what your day consists of, or you can do it with your experiences, decisions, people that you meet. If that's the way for you to measure. When you walk into a room and you meet somebody, their frequency is low. You don't want to go near them. You walk into a room, you meet someone like you or me that has a high frequency and so many others. You're drawn to them, right? It's the same with the opportunities, questions, decisions. You rate them. How do they feel? There's so many times when you don't expect these things to happen, and you meet someone and you are just magnetized by them. You get lost in their energy, and they feel so amazing, or an experience or whatever. Something comes up for work. It's your job. That's the spirit's job, is to, if you get afraid of it, oh, I don't know, they're too high frequency for me. I don't know. They might, that's fear pushing you back and making you recede. It's your job to push through that fear to the expansive feeling over and over and over and over again. And you get the chance to do it over and over and over again to flex the muscle. That's listening to your spirit on the most like basic level ever.
Mhm. No, that's very interesting. And one of the challenges that I think the modern individual navigating through this world
Mm,
faces is that a lot of terms like energy and high vibration, they
yes.
become so common they sort of lose meaning, and to they start to sound woo woo, like,
Yeah.
because they start to sound like words that don't mean anything,
Yes.
and and I like the way you're putting it, is that we and I guess this is part of the listening. We have to realize that our experience, which is, an embodied experience, it has a kind of frequency monitor,
Yes.
that monitors not energetic frequencies like physics necessarily,
Mm,
but it's measuring a kind of spiritual vibration, a spiritual energy. And we
yes.
have to go, oh, I have this tuning instrument, and
Mm,
I've been equipped with this. Like, I've been equipped with a spiritual GPS
correct.
that's telling me, okay, this is an energy I want to follow. This is an energy I want to avoid. And the listening for the soul purpose, or the listening for spirit, has a lot to do with really getting intimately acquainted with
Mm,
that energetic, you know, uh, frequency monitor that
hmm.
is like, it's a part of it's like your body is an energetic frequency monitor, and you need to
Yeah.
get intimately acquainted in using it.
Yes. That's such a great way to say it. The guides call it as your GPS system for your physical body. It's your motherboard, you know? So the frequency that we hold is our soul. It is the energetic part of who we are. So we live in this three-dimensional reality, in this three-dimensional body. Without this motherboard that is our soul, our energetic frequency, our vibration, the three-dimensional body doesn't work. It's like a car without fuel. Like, you know, we live in a multi-dimensional reality. We actually aspect into many dimensions in reality at the same time. We are existing here and everywhere simultaneously, and that's a big concept. But I used to wonder, like, why am I with, I made some big decisions. Like, we didn't even talk about how I got to where I am to be able to receive all this information from my guides and the council and other people's guides and deceased loved ones and ancestral energies. And like, it has just continued to expand, and it will continue to expand when you live this way. But it was a series of me saying yes to these obscure opportunities that came to me, like you were just talking about, for me to discover. So first it was, and I talk about this on the stairway of like of evolving your soul. In the beginning, you get to use this gauge we're talking about to make these decisions. And they might be things like leaving a marriage, and that's not a small decision, it's a big one. Or, changing my work or changing religion or whatever. And then as you continue to do that and expand your frequency, expand your vibration, your energy body, you get bigger choices to make. And they become things that are more in alignment with the opportunity to expand yourself, to align with your soul's purpose. So some of them, I used to say, like, why am I aligned with these people who are like major spiritual leaders in the world? Why am I invited to this retreat? I'm not like them. Like, they've been leading and teaching and on TV shows and books and programs. Like, I'm just little old me who just started all of this. Why am I aligning with them? But I didn't go fearful. I went, let me discover this. Let me witness this. Let me go into this space to discover what's on the other side of it. And the more I did that, the more I started revealing what my life was supposed to be, which was starting my healing journey, learning about Reiki, learning more about yoga, learning about all the different things that are out there to understand more and more and more about myself. And I have come to understand, Jeffrey, here and now at 55 years old in the year 2026, that I'm just starting. Like, my job is just to help people understand their frequency. It's as simple as that. You don't need programs and books and modules and sequences and like all these hard things. It's to help the basic person understand that they are a living, beautiful embodiment of divine energy. And they are so much vaster than what they see here and now in this body.
This is fantastic. So you are, what you're saying is your soul is a frequency. Your soul is an energetic vibration. And of course everything around you is has an energetic. So everything has a soul, right?
Yeah.
Everything is embodied soul, living things and non-living things,
Yeah.
right? And and so the frequency that we carry. Okay, so let me give you an example. I'm very curious. I walk into a room. I'm I'm a soul at a certain frequency,
Mm-hmm.
right? I walk into a room and I feel the frequencies of people around me.
Mm-hmm.
They may be lower or higher, or who knows, but there's different frequencies. Now, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I'm wanting to I have the opportunity. Of course, I want to attract the higher frequencies. I want to spend time in the higher frequencies, right? And part of what that does like in somebody's company who's of a higher frequency, my frequency will rise up to meet it. Would you say that's true?
I mean, I think that can happen. You exist and resonate every day of your life in a certain vibration. So, for instance, if you play guitar, if you play piano, you pluck on the string, it vibrates. It has a hertz. I mean, it is scientific. It has a hertz, which is a numeric measure of sound. It actually has a sound, right, on the measure of sounds. It has a color that it resonates with. We have a chakra system in our body that has different frequencies from the bottom of our body up to the top of our body, different frequencies, different sounds, different colors. Just existing, you resonate and pulse. Now we're getting into the law of attraction. You exist and pulse out a specific frequency. You attract exactly the frequency that you are. So you can say, Sad Sally. We see her every year at the Christmas party, and Sad Sally always has these circumstances happening in her life. Why can't Sad Sally get a break? Her car is always breaking down. Her family's always in turmoil. She's always sick. She's always losing her job. I know someone like this. She's always falling down. It's because she's vibrating at a certain frequency that aligns with that. When you start to understand the things that we're talking about, you're able to elevate your frequency and vibrate at a higher frequency so that you attract higher and better to vibrate at a higher frequency. And yes, when you go into a room and there's a whole bunch of people there, you already exist at a frequency, so you're vibrating. You walk in with your frequency. If we could have a scan of that room and see everyone's little silhouette, they'd have a pulse coming out, they'd have a color, you'd see their resonance. You will naturally, and they will naturally vibrate to you.
Mm,
And you know that. You experience that just
mm,
as the way you are as a teacher and just as the way you are, people get attracted to you. Yes, you will tap into somebody who has a higher frequency and you will feel it, baby. You will feel it. They feel good. You love being around them. We all have people like that. My friend Wendy walks in a room and she's not even spiritual. She just understands the law of attraction and she just resonates like this. Everyone wants to know, who is that? I want to know who that is and what she does. She's awesome. It's because of her frequency. Does that make sense?
mm.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
And what I'm wanting to get at with this is, I guess, what I see, and I'm pretty sure you would agree, but part of our job on Earth is to increase our soul frequency.
Yes.
Like spiritual growth ultimately means increasing the frequency at which your soul resonates. Um,
Yes.
and and there's probably what you this was all triggered by something you said earlier, which is you said you were talking about everything that happens in your life, and then you see something of a higher vibration, you move toward that, you bring that into your life. Something's a lower vibration. So as you change the frequency of the life you're living, of the
Hmm.
elements of your life, that naturally brings your soul's vibration up to a higher place.
Yes.
There's some symbiotic relationship between your soul's vibration and the circumstances that you create in your life that I think is
Correct.
really important for people to understand.
100%. 100%. So, one of the things that I find so fascinating is, and what the guides talk about now, our world is shifting. It's shifting tremendously. I mean, here and now, right now, February, it's, it's, there's a lot going on in our world. The guides, you have choices. The guides talk about ways that you can, just by existing, like in your daily life, ways that you can just honor and protect your frequency. Not walking into a conversation that's a low frequency. Making choices like, I'm not going to go and comment on that social feed. I'm not even going to look at it because it is so low frequency. It's just going to bring me down. Next thing I know, I'm going to be scrolling for 3 hours and all angry at the world and my friends and all the people in my, like, your job is, your frequency is your capacity, how much love you hold. Love is the highest frequency there is. You want to connect to God in the highest and the most, like, as much as you can. You want to increase your ability to love. That's your frequency. So I always tell my community members what you consume. That's not just the food that you eat, what you are, consuming with your beverages. That's not just the news on social media, pumped out on televisions, what you consume. That's not just the conversations at the water cooler, at the family parties, at the socials on the weekends. It's what you consume. It's what you are allowing yourself to intermingle your frequency with, right? It's as easy as that.
Mm.
And what are you spending your time doing? Are you spending time with family members you don't really enjoy? Are you doing things out of burden because you feel like you're supposed to? You are an empowered divine being. You are in control of your life, your existence, your future, your path moving forward. You get to make all of those choices to be in alignment with the highest possible version of yourself. So, you're not here to serve anyone else. You're here to serve your soul,
Mm.
honestly. So that is, maybe I don't go to that party every year. And maybe I go, but I know how much I'm going to participate in it. And I'll look at it for what it is and I have a response ready and I'm going to protect my frequency, I'm not going to take on that particular thing at work because it's guilt and I don't have to strive or then it turns into I don't align with this work anymore. And I need to find something else that fills my soul that I'm alignment with. When people talk about alignment, it's frequency. It's all
Yes.
frequency. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because frequency is a language I sometimes use, but it's not my primary language.
Yeah.
And not that it's a bad language, but it just hasn't been my primary language. But I can recalibrate my understanding in those terms. I
Yeah.
can take the ways that I think about things and I can put it in frequency terms. So I'm just looking around. I love books,
Hmm.
right? I love to read. I love books. But the reason I love books is because I surround myself with high frequency books,
Yeah.
right? And I read them and I get the frequency, but even just having them
Yeah. Yeah.
is it that frequency is in the room. I'm in my meditation room right now, and I have dozens of photographs of spiritual teachers that I admire
Hmm.
because they carry the energy. They have the
Yes.
frequency. So the whole
Yeah.
room has frequency. And there's statues in here and paintings in here, and they
Yeah.
all have there's nothing in here that isn't of some kind of higher, enlightened, loving
Yeah.
frequency. And so that's why this is such a wonderful space.
Yes. And you
Uh,
curated that. You curated that. And
yes.
not just like you look around your room and those little visual symbols, they fill you up. They make you feel good. They're tangible. They fill your heart. They nurture you in ways you don't even know. Just like you said, you say energy. It's the same thing. You use the word energy all
Yes,
the time.
I do.
And I say that a lot, in my office that I'm looking at right now, which I curated intentionally when I moved here. Um, you know, I have my artwork hanging that I love, that I'm most proud of, and they remind me not just of my talents, and nor just looking at them for their beauty, but they remind me of pivotal moments in my life that brought me joy.
Mhm.
And I have
Mhm.
living being plants that are
Mm.
intermingling with me, and they're supporting my experience right now. And I have books and I have photographs and I have little things that were monumental moments in my life, like my first speaking engagement in my spiritual world, and the book that I just collaborated with. And they make you happy. They make you
Yes.
happy. Yeah. And that
Hmm.
helps. And that assists your frequency.
Yes.
Just like
I
we just talked about the things to take away, but these are the things to add. Music,
right.
my guitar, knowing that I can pick it up at any moment, my active painting that's over there. They're not just to look at them, Jeffrey, but also to make sure that I am intermingling with them and I am pulling on that energy of creativity, because that fuels me as an empath and an artist and musician and a singer. That energy fuels me.
Mm.
That keeps
Mm.
my life force energy moving and dynamic and balanced, right? And when those things aren't in my life, I'm depleted. I might feel off or ungrounded or lost is the word that I used, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so what you're talking about, which I'm loving, is, and I see this in my own life, of course, and it's basically curating a high vibrational life, right?
Life. Yes, exactly.
So that includes these objects we just talked about. It includes the relationships you maintain in your life. It includes the circumstances that you engage with, like you were saying. Do I
Right.
go to this party or that party? Do I work at this job or do I work at that job?
Yeah.
And you're always wanting to continually create a life that's vibrating at a higher and higher frequency,
Hmm.
because you can't, and I think this is important. This is my experience, at least, and I think it's important for people to understand. We think that, so let's equate awakening or enlightenment with high frequency, right?
Yeah.
One of the things people, I think, need to understand is that we don't hold our enlightenment or awakening independent of the world we live in. You
Yeah.
know, very, very few people are going to realize high frequency and be so autonomously mm, embedded in it that they can
Hmm.
go in any circumstance and maintain it. I mean, there are people who do, evidently. They become like, you know, the greatest
Gurus.
leaders, spiritual
Yeah.
leaders of all time.
Hmm.
But most of us, we're very affected by our circumstance. So I always tell people, your awakening, which right now we're talking about at your
Hmm.
frequency isn't just something you have inside. It's contained in your life.
Yeah. It's
And
a
and
state
you
of
want to
being.
it's much more important to live an awakened life than it is to be an awakened person.
They're one and the same, but absolutely the first statement is correct, but they're one and the same. And I want
Hmm.
everyone to know, I want everyone to know that in this world that we live in, there are people that are on platforms that have books. They are revered. There are people that have been promoted and publicized and positioned, but they are not any different than you. Some of them do not live in the way that they practice. It is embodiment, it's a state of being. So no one is greater than anyone else. It's the way that it's your presence that positions you in the world and brings everything to you. So my point in saying that is the person that, and I deal with this in my community all the time, people will say, Pamela, I'm not having experiences. I'm not seeing things. I'm not having visions. I don't have light language. I don't have this. I said, do you understand that you are here in this community and you are learning from the great council of light, which is a high, high frequency. You are in alignment with this, with their messages, with this community. You are holding space, not just for yourself, for the entire world. Like your work is so important. And we have been conditioned in this world that we live in, that the people who've been on Oprah that have done this and that, that we see that are very popular, that they are the be all end all in spirituality and religion and practice. And it's not true. It's the layman. It's every single person has a space, and they're holding a frequency that's supporting Mother Earth and the entire universe. That's a big concept, but it's the truth.
mm,
you know?
mm,
So yeah, it's very true. It's just so true,
mm.
Jeffrey.
So what we're talking about right now, which I'm loving, is
Mhm.
the responsibility we have for living an awakened life, which means engaging with elements of life that are vibrating at higher and higher frequencies, right?
Mhm.
And and
Mhm.
and now I want to bring in something that's important to me, but is much newer. I haven't talked about it that much. A little over the last few years, I've started to, but generally, because I've been teaching for decades now, but I haven't really ventured into this domain much until the last few years. But it's a great conversation to have with you because part of this awakened life, right? Part of the elements was we've talked about the objects, the spaces the people, the relationships, the events, the job, all that. The other one is the non-incarnate beings that
Mhm.
you invite into your life, that
Mhm.
that we have the opportunity to develop relationships with high vibrational beings that are not incarnate currently. And I know that sounds too weird and too woo woo for like Main Street, but it's a very real part of my life, and has always been a big part of my path. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, I know that you channel
Mhm.
very high beings. It doesn't have to be a channeling. You know,
Mhm.
I have authors
Mhm.
that are no longer alive, spiritual figures that are no longer alive. I am in ongoing contact with
Mhm.
them, and I'm learning from them,
Mhm.
and energetically benefiting from them. And I think it's a domain of the spiritual path that, because the modern world sees that as too bizarre, we don't tend to think about it. But if we don't engage with the available support from non incarnate beings, we are cutting ourselves off to probably the most important avenue for spiritual guidance and support that we have access to. And I know
Mhm.
that you can speak to that
Mhm.
in a way that I really want to hear.
Yeah, I love what you just said. So I want to go back to the very beginning when you said that it's not talked about a lot. It's interesting because it's talked about inside of a box, right? So, and I'm not pro or against religion. The guides say that religion serves a very important purpose, and it serves people in their frequency, etc. But it is talked about in religion. I mean, there's immaculate conceptions. I grew up praying to incarnate, I call them spiritual beings, praying to these spiritual beings. I mean, to help me find lost things, I was very close with Jesus my entire life. When I was a little girl, we were very close to Mother Mary, to all of these angelic beings. There's another term. It's very common talk in certain boxes. Sometimes when you get outside of a comfortable box, and maybe it goes into a different box, which here's a box called psychic mediumship. Mainstream people have been amplified in public spaces as well-known psychic mediums, as long as it stays inside of that box that they talk to deceased loved ones and the information is valuable and it's proven to be accurate, then it's okay. We're living in a world where everyone channels. Everyone channels. We were born these three-dimensional beings, but we also have all these tools that we can't see, like a pineal gland inside of our head that's connected to something called a third eye on our forehead, which is, it's almost like it's got crystals in it, like our eardrums. And it's our connection to the other spaces that are beyond our three-dimensional reality. We are born with our chakra system. We are born with our clair senses to be able to the ability to hear and see and taste and sense and there's so many of them, but we're born with them. We are not taught about any of these things when we are growing up and we are born on planet Earth, unless we come into a family like that. So I always say everything is backwards day. You know, when the planet is shifting now incredibly. The planet's frequency as a whole is shifting. The consciousness of our world is shifting tremendously. People are tapping into these abilities in a vast way. And I know that because I'm supporting them with my work. Um, we always have the ability to connect with, we have a team of spirit guides that are with us, that we are a part of, that we just came down here to, in this lifetime, to learn more about our soul, to learn more about love in this lifetime. That's why we come here. But we have all of these angelic beings. We have all kinds of interdimensional beings. We just can't see them because we have a limited ability to see them. When we expand our senses, you have expanded the ability to receive this information. And it's like we talked about before, you had to flex a muscle. You had to practice it for it to, and then you became aware, and then it's a part of your life. But as an artist and a musician, I understood before I ever would say that I was a trance channeler or, into a spiritualist. I don't know what else to call it. But I remember, getting into a sheet of music and having to learn the notes and each measure and the rhythm. And, it's a brain thing because you're functioning this body. But then suddenly you get into this place of flow and you forget that you're playing your instrument and you are in the energy of channeling. You are in spirit. You are in inspiration. You are channeling this energy. It's coming from another place. And so it could be coming from a team that I have. There's art and music there. It's the higher essence of myself that has that imprinted in my DNA. And every lifetime I come and I sing or I play or do art. But everyone has the ability to channel. People say they run and they get inspired for their next great thing that they're going to do when they're running or they're in the garden or they're doing whatever it is that brings them joy. What does joy do? It raises your frequency. What does that do? It connects you with this divine wisdom, this inspiration, these other concepts and ideas. Everyone has the ability to do that. So it's getting talked about more and more. And because people are having these synchronistic experiences, they're wanting to learn more, see more, experience more, know more. They are tapping into that space, which is allowance, which is allowing the connectivity to happen. So, um, yes, I do have experience with that. I channel, and it was, several years of working hard to connect and to integrate and to embody this way of living. But I have a direct channel. Everyone does, but mine is just more open because I've practiced it. And I have more availability to it because I've practiced it. I'm still living my soul's purpose and I'm growing and expanding every single day. So when I connect to one of my coaching clients to help them with their soul, to heal their soul, to raise their frequency, sometimes deceased loved ones come. I just experienced last week, I was working with a client, and the very first thing we worked on was the most impactful lifetime that they ever had that needed to be cleared now because they have a lot of amazing things they need to do. And the ancestors from that time, that lifetime came, these tribal people. And so I have, through practice, opened myself up to be able to receive more and more and more and more of that. It's really cool, but everybody has the ability to do it.
I think that's amazing. And I love what you said initially, because, you know, I've experienced for a long time in both writing, well, first in art, painting, and then writing, and then teaching, this sense of flow where
Yeah.
you're not really aware of what's coming through you, you know.
Mm.
You don't, not exactly. I was never necessarily aware of where it was coming from, but I knew it wasn't coming from my mind, you know.
Yeah.
It was coming through. So what I'm doing now, I'm working with a group of people, and I would love to get your help. So we're working together doing what I'm talking about as establishing communication with our own soul.
Mm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and and so we've been setting the consciousness of availability, of receptivity, and I I I see us developing more and more of a two-way communication
Mhm.
with the soul, you know,
Mhm.
opening to listening for the soul's purpose, listening for the soul's guidance, which of course is coming from us because we aren't separate from the soul. And yet there seems to be some way in which listening for the soul as if it's outside of you,
Right.
I
It's
don't know,
not
that sets
separate.
up a dynamic for me that kind of works.
Mhm.
And I don't know why that is. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah. Whatever works for you, everyone's individual. You know, my thing is that I always say to people, you know, it's an energetic conviction that comes from within you. It's a desire, it's a frequency. You have this desire to be more expansive, to connect. So the soul is multidimensional. And as I said before, we live, there's aspects of us living in, you know, simultaneously through all time and space. I, through the Great Council of Light, have connected to my aspect that's in the council. It's not a they and me, it's a we, right? And so I always say to my community members, I say to my people that I work one on one with, you know, people say, well, Pamela, I'm asking for the guidance. I'm listening. You know, I lay in bed right before I go to bed every night and I say, tell me what I need to know and show me what I need to know. And I say, well, you can't be a lazy friend. That's a lazy friend. You need to show up every morning with intention or whatever your time is, with intention. Your soul is you. You are your soul. This is embodiment, right? I am here. I want to collaborate and connect. My heart is open and receptive. Let's work together. Show me more. That's all you need to know. You will get intuited. You will get flashes of inspiration, ideas. That is your higher self, your soul. It's a part of you. And they are here, our soul, our team, our deceased loved ones, they are here to help us. A lot of times we make soul contracts. So I came here to do this, you came here to do that. If people or beings in your soul group have crossed the other side, they still support you in this journey. So they can intuit you, you know? Soul is it's a large concept, but we can keep it down to our individual experience. There's so much support there. There's so
Yes,
much support there. Yes. Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll end there just because it's a good place to end.